Howdy folks, and welcome back to Healthy Humor. I'm your host, Doc MB. Today is the first Minisode of Season 3. Have you ever wondered where the 10,000 steps a day rule actually came from? Spoiler alert, it wasn't from doctors, and it wasn't from any sort of medical research. It was actually born in the 1960s in Japan as a marketing slogan for a pedometer called the Mampo Kai, which literally means 10,000 steps meter. The number was catchy, it stuck, and half a century later, we're all still chasing it. But science tells a very different story about the real number of steps we need to get every day. So what do the studies say about how many steps you actually need for better health and a longer life? In 2019, there was a research article published in JAMA Internal Medicine where they studied a large group of older women, and researchers found that benefits began as low as 4,400 steps a day, and the protective effect against death leveled off near 7,500 steps a day. Importantly, walking faster didn't add extra years once total steps were considered. So you don't need to go out and speed walk, you just need to get out and get your steps. Not an older female? Well, in 2020, there was another major U.S. study in which people taking 8,000 steps a day had about a 50% lower risk of dying compared to those taking 4,000 steps a day. At 12,000 steps, that risk was nearly 65% lower. Again, how fast you walk did not matter as much as the total steps you logged. If you'd like to know what more data said, well, there was a meta-analysis published in 2022 in which researchers combined data across countries, and they evaluated 15 different studies and found that for adults under 60, the benefits tended to plateau between 8,000 and 10,000 steps a day. And for adults over 60, the plateau was lower, closer to between 6,000 and 8,000 steps a day. If you're concerned that even that 6,000 mark seems a little high, well, here's the really good news. Benefits show up much earlier than you might think. In a 2023 pooled analysis, they found that just 3,800 steps a day was linked to lower risk of dying from any cause, and as little as 2,300 steps a day lowered the risk of dying from heart disease. If you're a nerd like me and you've ever looked at the U.S. physical activity guidelines or heard me talk about them, they don't really talk in steps. They recommend about 150 minutes per week of moderate activity, but if you translate that into steps, you could say that walking briskly at about 100 steps per minute, which is a nice, easy rule of thumb, that gets you to around 3,000 steps in a 30-minute walk. Stack those on top of your daily living steps, and most people will naturally land somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000. So you don't have to go walk, miles and miles every morning to hit that number. A nice 30-minute walk on top of whatever steps you're probably already getting throughout the day will probably get you pretty close to between 6,000 and 10,000. To bring it back around, the 10,000 steps rule, yeah, it was a brilliant marketing idea, but not a medical prescription. Our actual science says big benefits show up by 4,000 to 5,000 steps a day, especially if you're sedentary now and you're making a lifestyle change. Risk keeps dropping as you climb towards 6,000 to 10,000 steps a day, depending on your age. And if you love aiming for 10,000, that's great, but don't beat yourself up if you're lower. Every extra 1,000 steps a day really does count. So instead of chasing perfection, think in ranges. If you're over 60, aim for 6,000 to 8,000 most days. If you're younger, 8,000 to 10,000 is a solid goal. And if you're at 3,000 right now, add just 1,000 steps a day this week. That's a 10-minute walk. You'll get real health gains, and it's much more sustainable than chasing a magic number. The bottom line, the best step goal is simply more than you're doing now. Forget the marketing myth, make your own number that works for your life and your health, and just try to do a little more than you did the day before. And more than anything, have a happy and healthy day.